Discover the incredible journey of a boy who arrived in America empty-handed and built a $1 bill. Mateo stepped off the worn-out bus and into the vibrant chaos of New York City, his small backpack weighing heavy on his thin shoulders. Inside were his most prized possessions. A few clothes that smelled faintly of home, a drawing of his family, and the fiery dreams that danced in his heart. This was the moment he daydreamed of, but the soaring buildings and rushing crowds swallowed him whole. The hopes of his family, who sacrificed everything back in their rural village, pressed down on him, a weight he could hardly bear. As he made his way through the flashier world, a pulsating life he had only glimpsed in movies, Mateo felt the sting of glares and whispers. Immigrant. The word dripped from some of his classmates like acid, seeping into his spirit. Their privilege was their armor, warding off anyone they deemed different, and Mateo was painfully aware he didn't fit in. After school, Mateo would often join his mother, helping her clean offices. They scrubbed floors and dusted surfaces, surrounded by the smell of fresh paper mingling with the sweat of hard work. It was in those moments his heart found solace. In the local market, he created handmade crafts, fusing the vibrant colors of his heritage with the hope of belonging. Slowly, he connected with unexpected allies, neighbors who offered warm smiles, a few coins, and nuggets of advice that made the burdens lighter. Each interaction stitched Mateo into the fabric of the community, even as he felt the tug-of-war within his own heart. His mother dreamed of him achieving the success they never could. Mateo dreamed of building a life that honored their sacrifices. Then one fateful day, he spotted the dilapidated community center. Its doors were rusted, and its walls faded, a lifeline for kids like him, brimming with laughter and creativity. Now it threatened to close its doors for good. Disturbed by the thought, Mateo felt a spark. This place was more than bricks and mortar. It was a sanctuary. Determined to save it, he rallied his classmates and neighbors, brainstorming ideas that would weave their hearts together into a tapestry of hope. "Let us raise just $1, he announced one day, just a single dollar that could symbolize starting from nothing. They began to plan, gathering supplies and crafting from the remnants of what they had, each creation bursting with passion and heart. But as the day of the fundraiser approached, doubt crept in like a thief in the night. Would this effort truly be enough to fend off the community's pain? In bed that night, doubts churned through Mateo's mind. Would his idea work? Was he letting down not just his neighbors, but the family who placed their trust in him? What if he failed? The weight of their dreams settled on him like a crushing wave. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the fundraiser arrived, and the community gathered, cheeks flushed with excitement. That single dollar representing shared aspirations pulsed in the air like a heartbeat. As they cheered and clapped, a bittersweet choice loomed over Mateo: pursue a college scholarship that could elevate him to new heights or stay behind, nurturing the light that had embraced him. The applauding voices rang in his ears, yet inside, a storm brewed, leaving him grappling between the dreams of soaring high or staying grounded. What would he choose when the echoes of their chants ignited both hope and uncertainty within him? The sun broke over the community center like a promise, shining down on the colorful hand-painted signs that decorated the once drab walls. Mateo could hear laughter bubbling up from the crowd, the excitement palpable in the air. Yet, despite the cheer of his neighbors and fellow classmates, doubt still gripped his heart. He stood there, a thin boy caught in the whirlwind of possibility and fear, torn between his future and his community. As the clock ticked closer to the event's start, Mateo's mind raced. Could $1 make a difference? Could their combined spirit truly save the place that had come to mean so much to him? He glanced around, catching the eyes of familiar faces. Each smile, from Mr. Rodriguez, who always offered him extra apples at the market, To Mrs. Kim, who exchanged recipes for his mom, reminded him why he had fought to make this happen. "I'm giving it my all," he whispered to himself, determination flickering in his chest. He stepped onto the stage, the wooden planks creaking under his feet as he adjusted the microphone. He took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun wrap around him like a hug, and scanned the crowd. "Thank you all for being here today," he shouted, the words bursting forth with more enthusiasm than he felt. A round of applause echoed back, lifting his spirits just a bit. "Today we're not just raising money. We're showing what our community can do when we come together." The cheers rang out, filling him with a sense of belonging that chased away his doubts, if only momentarily. He started sharing stories of how the center welcomed him the first day he arrived, alone and afraid. It was here he found friends, laughter, and a part of himself that had felt lost. The pitch black of night fell, but the community center glowed with fairy lights and laughter. Mateo's heart surged as he watched familiar faces gather at the tables, each one adding their contributions, some with handmade crafts, others with baked goods, each piece imbued with love. Their $1 vision was slowly coming to fruition. But moments of joy were often chased by shadows of doubt. Would it really be enough? He wondered as he served lemonade, feeling the weight of every dollar that crossed the table. Each coin symbolized more than just currency. It was hope, dreams, and the unseen sacrifices of loving families. If he failed, would he be letting them down? As the night rolled on, the once static atmosphere vibrated with energy. Raffles were drawn, dance performances erupted, and the air was thick with contentment. Just when Mateo thought they might be able to raise the funds they needed, he saw someone approach him, a girl standing at the edge of the crowd, uncertain yet determined. "Mateo," she said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty in her eyes. "I want to help. I have an idea. If we could just combine the crafts, we could make something special." He was taken aback by her enthusiasm, the way she seemed to embody the very spirit he had been trying to foster. "What do you mean?" She explained her vision, a twist to their original plan that sent a spark racing through Mateo. Her energy was infectious, a new light dawning in his heart. As they spoke, Mateo felt his pulse quicken. Would this idea really work? Could it lift their spirits even higher and raise that much-needed dollar to save the community center? The doubts that had lingered began to drown in the flood of hope she inspired. Suddenly, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd as his mother, with proud tears in her eyes, handed him a crumpled dollar bill. "See, every dollar counts," she smiled. In that moment, Mateo wished he had the strength to stay and help his community. But somewhere deep inside also stirred the dream of new horizons, of college and greater possibilities. Perhaps he didn't have to choose one over the other. As the night deepened, he wondered how far their combined efforts could take them. Could their efforts change not just the fate of the center, but also his own path going forward? With a mixture of excitement and anxiety bubbling in his stomach, he glanced back at the girl with the bright ideas. "Let us get to work. I think we may just save this place after all," he said, feeling renewed energy surge through him. But deep down, as he looked at the hopeful faces around him, he realized this was only the beginning. What more could they achieve together? As the laughter and chatter faded into the evening air, he sighed, a smile breaking through the apprehension. There was no way he could have prepared for what came next. Mateo's heart raced as he dove headfirst into planning. The girl, who introduced herself as Elena, was filled with ideas, so many that he could hardly keep pace. Together, they discussed blending their crafts into a series of larger art pieces. There were old canvases from community members, beads and ribbons for embellishments, and leftover fabric scraps that would make stunning visuals. Mateo found himself swept up in her enthusiasm, imagining the colorful banners that transformed the community center, illustrating their journey and dreams. "Let us call it the tapestry of us," Elena suggested, her eyes alight with excitement. "Each piece tells our story. People can donate to contribute materials or help us with the creation." The thought of creating something meaningful together ignited a fire in Mateo. This was more than about saving the center now. It was about weaving everyone's voices into a shared narrative. What began as a small gathering of cash turned into an opportunity for everyone to contribute, each dollar becoming a stitch in the fabric of their community. As they gathered materials, Mateo felt a buzz in the air. Helpers arrived, fueled by the promise of expression. He saw laughter as kids mixed paints and adults exchanged ideas, building friendships over shared projects. The community's heart thrummed with life. But doubt still tailed Mateo, creeping in like the shadows that fell across the dusty hall. What if we run out of time? He murmured to Elena one night, their hands stained with paint, surrounded by vibrant fabric and half-finished creations. What if no one wants to buy these pieces? She paused, an understanding look in her eyes. We're showing our spirit, Mateo. It's not about the money. It's about what we create together. Remember what you said? It's all about community. Her words ignited a spark in him. They weren't just creating art. They were creating a bond. They weren't aiming to fill an empty space with cash. They were weaving stories that would always have meaning, no matter the outcome. As days turned to weeks, the center began to transform. Banners hung across the walls, stories of shared aspirations etched into every fabric patch. Local businesses stepped in, hosting workshops, sharing resources, and even donating supplies. With each passing day, Mateo noticed the fear in his heart loosening its grip. The symphony of laughter and creativity that enveloped the center pressed him forward. His mother would often stop by, pride overflowing in her eyes, as she watched the heartbeat of the community revive itself. On the eve of their big presentation, a showcase of the tapestry of us, the atmosphere was electric. Families gathered, finding seats in the brightened center. As Mateo scanned the crowded room, he could hardly recognize the boy who once stood alone. The faces of friends and neighbors, smiling at him as if he were a lighthouse guiding them home, filled him with warmth. Stepping onto the stage, he drew a breath. His voice wavered slightly, the weight of expectations resting heavy on his shoulders. Everyone, he called out, locking eyes with both familiar faces and new. Thank you. This is our story. Together, we are showing what community really means. Applause thundered through the room, every clap echoing with support and hope. But as he focused on the front row, a new realization hit him. His absence lingered like a whisper. College applications were staring him down. The dreams he held for his future were gnawing on his heart. What if he followed the path away from this place? Suddenly a new question arose, loud and clear. Could he honor both dreams, both his community's story and his future? An unexpected noise broke his train of thought. The clinking of glasses as someone raised a toast. The applause continued, but it felt like the applause of diverging roads. Mateo's heart quickened again, this time with uncertainty. As the crowd cheered and the vision of success floated before him, he realized he had to make a choice. What lay ahead? The roads were twisting, and each step would demand courage. Would he forge a new path while still treasuring the community he loved? What awaited him after tonight? The tapestry, the dreams, and the unfamiliar. The applause faded into a gentle murmur as Mateo stepped off the stage, breathless with anticipation and dread. People chatted, their voices stitched together with laughter and excitement. But all he could hear was the clock ticking away the last moments of his childhood. Every echoed cheer felt like a reminder that his time here was limited. He glanced at Elena, her face aglow with joy, and for a brief moment, he wondered if she sensed the heaviness on his heart. Mateo. She waved him over, excitement dancing in her eyes. The vibrant colors of their creations surrounded them like a cocoon, each piece a testament to what they had built together. And yet the feeling of stagnation began to weigh on him. Did you see the way everyone reacted? She practically bubbled, tugging him into the throng of people. We've created something beautiful that everyone is a part of. I'm so proud of us. Mateo managed to smile but felt an ache growing, an ache he could not share. The glow of the showcase couldn't mask the shadows clouding his thoughts. He loved the community, but there was a world out there waiting for him. Dreams framed walls of possibilities hovering just beyond the center's doors. What happens now? he asked, the question escaping before he could second-guess it. The string of excitement flickered, momentarily turning somber. Elena looked at him, a mix of confusion and concern knitting her brows. What do you mean? We keep going. We make more art. Bring in more people. This is just the beginning. A knot formed in Mateo's stomach. And what if I don't get to be a part of it? I've got applications due in a month. I've got to think about my future, too. Silence hung between them. Words fell as heavy as dead leaves. He watched the colors dim in Elena's face as she absorbed his words. You mean you want to leave? She bit her lip, a flicker of fear in her eyes. I thought it is important. He rushed to say, his voice almost pleading. But what if my life I sent here? It's a real opportunity to what? Abandon us? She interrupted, a fierce edge creeping in. Mateo paused. No, I didn't mean it like that, but it sounds like it. You can't just stay forever. He blurted out, exasperated. Their surroundings blurred as he tried to find a way to bridge their worlds. This place had molded him, but after tonight, wouldn't he risk becoming stagnant? Elena crossed her arms, hurt flashing through her eyes. Mateo could feel the distance growing. He stepped back, the warmth of their earlier triumph turning to ice. He thought of those banners, now filled with stories of hope and community. But what if his own narrative took him far away? Maybe you need to find your own path, but we can't just lose each other. She finally said, voice softening but still heavy with tension. The anxiety coiled tighter in his chest. He had never wanted to hurt her. The community needed him. But how could he explain the pull of dreams that beckoned louder than any applause? The fear of losing everything he'd built with her pressed on him hard. As the night continued, Mateo found it difficult to shake off the feeling of impending change. He could still hear laughter, the songs of kids, and the buzz of creativity around him, but they seemed muffled by his own emotions. I'll figure it out, he promised her. But even as he said it, doubts nagged at him. Did he really believe that? As the event wound down, the last vestiges of the celebration began to fizzle. Mateo took a deep breath and glanced around one last time. The walls adorned with their creations now seemed like a barrier rather than a safe haven. Would he take the leap needed to chase his dreams, or risk losing everything he'd come to love? In that moment of quiet chaos, he knew he had a decision to make. The threads of his identity were tangled between his old life and a future that echoed just beyond reach. What would he give up to chase his dream? Would the tapestry unravel before it could truly take shape? Mateo stood at the edge of the crowd, watching the fading smiles of the people as they began to disperse from the gallery. The colors seemed to dull under the flickering overhead lights, the vibrant energy they had created together now settling into a stale silence. He felt as if the stage still echoed with the cheers, but the applause had been for someone else, someone who would stay rooted, offering warmth and stability while he wrestled with his own uncertainties. Elena, he finally said, his voice steady but soft, I didn't mean to hurt you. I can't ignore what's out there anymore. She took a step back, shaking her head slowly as if to ward off a bad dream. What if you go and it's not what you expect? What if you end up missing this place, missing us? I know, he replied, the weight of her concern crashing onto him. But what if this is the only chance I have? If I don't try, I'll regret it forever. Tears welled in her eyes, shimmering like tiny stars trapped behind glass. So you'll just leave me here? Leave us behind? Mateo felt his heart twist painfully. What if I come back? He asked, desperation creeping in. What if I can bring everything I learned back here, make it better? Share it with you? A flicker of hope crossed Elena's face, but the shadows of doubt lingered. And what if you change? What if this place doesn't matter to you anymore? He closed his eyes for a moment, trying to picture it. The crowded streets of a new city, the hum of voices spanning continents, a world alive with creativity and dreams. It called to him like a forgotten melody drifting on the night air. I don't want to change who I am, he said quietly, but I need to know what I can become. The silence that followed was heavy, each moment stretching longer than the last. But in the depths of his heart, he sensed the tidal pull of ambition as inevitable as the turning of the seasons. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm brewing inside. "Elena, no matter what happens, you'll always be a part of me," he promised, his voice cracking. "Then don't leave me behind," she murmured, a hint of vulnerability breaking through her tough exterior. "It's not just about you and your dreams, Mateo. It's about all of us." The words echoed in his mind like a solemn vow. Their history together stood in stark contrast to the uncertain future he envisioned. The community was their shared canvas, but he felt the need to paint his own life, even if it meant risking the familiar embrace of their bond. "Let us at least talk about it," Elena suggested. "Before you go. Maybe there's a way we can keep this connection alive." "Really? You'd be okay with that?" His heart stirred with hope. "It's worth a shot, right?" she replied, her eyes brightening just a bit. Mateo nodded, grateful for her willingness to navigate this thorny path together. They stepped toward each other again, the distance shrinking between them, inch by inch a fragile compromise suspended in the air. But as they clung to that flicker of hope, Mateo couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge lay ahead. He had danced with dreams tonight, but was he ready for the plunge? Decisions loomed like skyscrapers in the distance, and as he took in the joy surrounding them, he recognized that soon, he would have to either advance toward his destiny or stay rooted in the warmth of familiarity. Would their shared dreams survive the test of distance? Would he have the courage to leap into the unknown, even if it risked everything they had built together? The thought tightened his chest, but somewhere within, he realized that his journey had only just begun. The night deepened, and with every passing moment, Mateo felt the world inching closer to an inevitable truth. What awaited him beyond the center's doors? As the weight of that question wrapped around him, he understood he was on the brink of something transformative. "Mateo," Elena's voice broke his thoughts. "Promise me we'll talk. Promise me you'll consider what I said." He nodded, his heart racing between two worlds, uncertain but pulsating with possibility. What lay in the unknown, waiting just beyond the horizon? And would he step into the light, ready for all the surprises it might hold? The next morning, the sun spilled through Mateo's window, painting the room in soft golden hues. He sat up, the warmth of the light a contrast to the confusion swirling in his mind. The weight of yesterday's conversation pressed down on him like a thick fog, blending dreams and reality into an indistinct haze. He ran a hand through his hair, reflecting on his choices, and the simmering tension between hope and fear suffocated him. He had promised Elena they would talk again, but what could he say? Would more words truly bridge the growing chasm between their shared past and the future he longed for? Mateo swung his legs off the bed, feeling the cold floor beneath his feet grounding him momentarily. He needed to clear his head. His footsteps echoed through the empty hallways as he made his way to the community center. The space buzzed with life. Children played, artists worked on vibrant canvases, and old friends laughed together, relishing in the joy of togetherness. But in the heart of this dynamic, Mateo felt detached, an outsider at his own home. Elena was already there, her hair tied back in a loose bun, the remnants of last night's conversation lingering like a weight on them both. She waved him over, her smile betraying a flicker of anxiety. "Hey," she said, her voice a soothing balm against the tension. "Thanks for coming." "Of course," he replied, taking a seat across from her at the large wooden table. "I wanted to talk." Her eyes searched his, an ocean of emotions churning within them. "So what are we doing here?" He hesitated, searching for the right words. "I've been thinking about all the possibilities out there," he started, trying to keep his voice calm. "I know it sounds selfish, but it's not just about me wanting to go. I feel like this is what I need to do for myself, for us in the long run. What if you forget us, Mateo?" Elena's voice trembled slightly, vulnerability cracking through her bravado. "What if you leave and you don't come back?" "I can't promise that things won't change," he admitted, feeling the swell of emotions in the pit of his stomach. "But I want to believe that change can be good. I want to learn things and bring them back here, share them with you and everyone else." She looked down, her fingers tracing patterns on the table, lost in thought. The air grew heavy with unspoken words. Ultimately, They had both been grounded by fear of separation, fear of losing connections that had shaped them. "So what if we try this together?" she said suddenly, a soft determination in her voice. "What if I come with you?" Mateo's heart raced, the notion throwing him off balance. "You'd leave everything behind?" "Everything I love is right here," she replied, her eyes locking onto his. "I can't just sit back and wait while you chase your dreams. If you truly believe in them, then I want to be a part of that. Together we can explore and grow instead of drifting apart." Every nerve in Mateo tingled at her words. Together? The very idea was intoxicating. But doubts emerged. What about everyone else? The community, they'll support us. They want us to grow, she said, leaning forward earnestly. "And if this is something you believe in, I want to believe with you. But it's more than just coming with you. It's about reminding each other why we started in the first place." "Are you sure?" he murmured, torn between elation and trepidation. "Not completely," she admitted, her smile softening. "But maybe that's part of the adventure." Mateo's heart soared, yet the weight of choice loomed heavily. If he embraced this shared journey, would it lead them both to fulfillment or bind them to an uncertain fate? They sat together, contemplating their next steps, the sweet and bitter taste of possibility melting into one. Could they redefine their lives together? As they locked eyes again, with hope flickering anew, Mateo realized that on the brink of this leap into the unknown, the question remained. Were they ready to embrace whatever awaited them, hand in hand? And as the laughter and joy of the community spilled through the doors, the world outside pulsed with adventures yet to unfold, each heartbeat marking their moment of truth. What awaited them on the open road, and would they find the strength to fight for their dreams together? Mateo felt a familiar weight in the air as he and Elena faced their uncertain future. Each unspoken word between them seemed to swell, electrifying the space, pushing against the walls of the bustling community center. It was clear this wasn't just about dreams anymore. It was about loyalty, trust, and the leap into the unknown. "Let us say we do this," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. "When do we leave?" The simple question felt huge, echoes of 1,000 possibilities flashing through his mind. Elena leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What about next month? We can spend time preparing, and maybe we can host a farewell gathering. It'll give us a chance to say goodbye and share our hopes." Suddenly, Mateo felt a rush of both optimism and fear. Could they really go through with this? He had spent so long thinking of his own journey. To now consider Elena as part of it sparked a new flame inside him. "That sounds amazing," he admitted, a smile breaking through his earlier anxiety. "It'll be like a new beginning for both of us." As they talked about plans, dreams, and the excitement of the road ahead, a child's laughter drifted through the open windows, shattering Mateo's momentary reverie. His gaze shifted towards the center's courtyard, where kids were running freely, their innocence painted against the canvas of the community. It reminded him of their own childhood, carefree and vibrant. "What about them, though?" Mateo asked thoughtfully, gesturing to the children. "What about our responsibilities here? These relationships, they matter." Elena took a deep breath, her expression unwavering. "They do matter. This is why we have to go. We can find a way to stay connected, to share what we learn. None of this means abandoning them. It means coming back with stories, experiences, and insights." Mateo found himself nodding slowly, the gears in his mind clicking into place. Elena was right. They could grow and in turn enrich those back home. There was a beauty in the thought of cultivating dreams while offering something back to the roots they cherished so deeply. "Okay," he replied, feeling a sudden rush of clarity. "Let us not just talk about it. Let us commit to this. Let us make a list of things we want to do and learn." The spark in Elena's eyes ignited a warmth in his chest. Days turned into weeks as they worked through their plans, the excitement of their journey mixing with the bittersweet moments of saying goodbye. They organized gatherings at the center, where several community members expressed their support. Yet, despite the encouragement, Mateo could still feel the weight of apprehension lurking in the shadows. What if they failed? What if they lost their way? One evening, while packing up books for their trip, Mateo discovered an old photograph of him and Elena from years ago. Their younger selves laughing, eyes bright with unfiltered joy. He held it tightly, nostalgia enveloping him. Just as he showed it to Elena, a softer note in her voice broke through his thoughts. What if it doesn't work out? She asked as she gazed at the photo, her fingers brushing against his. What if we struggle out there? Tension twisted in Mateo's stomach. He had worried about that too, the looming fear overshadowing the thrill of the journey. But looking into her eyes, he felt reassurance. Then we'll figure it out, he replied, firm in his resolve. If we're together, we can face anything. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in deep oranges and purples, they made a pact no matter what happened, they would face it together. Hand in hand, they would leap into the uncertain yet promising future. But even as they moved forward, the question loomed larger. Was their bond strong enough to withstand the challenges of the road? With that thought heavy in the air, they stood on the brink of transformation, ready to leave behind everything familiar. Little did they know, the real test of their love and commitment awaited them right beneath the surface of their new adventure. What trials would they encounter on their journey? And would they emerge from them stronger, or risk losing each other forever? Mateo and Elena spent the next few weeks in a whirlwind of activity, the buzz of excitement mingling with the bittersweet taste of farewells. They organized gatherings, shared meals with friends, and allowed laughter to lace their plans. The community center was alive with warmth, the kind of place where everyone knew each other. Those goodbyes echoed in the air, heavy with unexpressed hopes and unshakable bonds. One night, as they packed the last of their supplies, a weight settled on Mateo's chest. He glanced at the suitcase, crammed with clothes, travel guides, and the mismatched tokens of their lives. It didn't seem like enough to face what lay ahead. "What's on your mind?" Elena asked, noticing the shadows lining his face. He hesitated. "What if we can't adjust? What if we forget all the things that made us us?" Elena stepped closer, searching his eyes, biting her lip. "We won't forget. We'll always carry our roots with us. Change can be good, can help us grow." Her optimism didn't completely alleviate his fear. They were stepping into the great unknown, a canvas waiting to be painted with their futures. Just then, her phone buzzed, pulling them back from the moment. It was a message from her sister, a reminder of upcoming plans they could no longer attend. "More goodbyes," she sighed, glancing at Mateo. "But these are harder. Let us make a toast tonight," Mateo suggested suddenly. "To us, to the adventure, to everything that lies ahead." Elena's face brightened, and he felt the tension between them ease a little. Their small gathering later that evening took place in the courtyard, lit by soft fairy lights. Friends and family gathered, sharing stories of their own journeys both past and present. "Don't forget about us," a friend called out, laughter ringing through the air. "We expect postcards filled with crazy stories." As they cheered and laughed, Mateo felt a spark of adventure ignite in him. He raised his glass, his voice steady. "Here's to new beginnings. May we find joy, strength, and a million reasons to come back home with tales to tell." Cheers erupted, voices intertwining in a beautiful harmony of hope and excitement. Just as Mateo's heart soared, a flicker of worry crept back in. Would their stories be enough to bridge the gap when they returned? Later that night, as they lay side by side, Mateo turned to watch Elena fall asleep, her face calm and peaceful. He traced his finger along her cheek, feeling the warmth of her skin. They were in this together, he reminded himself. That alone steadied him. If only he could silence the gnawing fears that bubbled up, like unwelcome guests at a banquet. Yet, the fear was dwarfed by the promise of possibility. With the dawn of their departure looming, their dream of exploration shimmered like the stars decorating the night sky. Mateo drifted off into sleep with plans swirling in his mind, things to learn, places to see, and challenges to conquer alongside Elena. But as the days turned into hours, they arrived at the final morning. The sun broke through the horizon, illuminating the world in a golden glow. It was the beginning of everything. With one last look around the community center, Mateo felt the weight of nostalgia sink in. What would become of them once they left? Would these walls still feel like home when they returned? As they bundled into the car driving away, Mateo glanced at Elena, her eyes alight with excitement, but he couldn't shake off a delicate sense of fear. Would they be able to navigate the twists and turns of their journey without losing sight of one another? With that burning question echoing in his heart, they ventured down the road, ready to step into the unknown. Little did they know, challenges awaited them that would test their bond in ways they never imagined. Would they emerge stronger, or would the road drag them apart? The journey began with a mix of unease and exhilaration swirling through Mateo's chest. The engine of their car hummed as they drove further from the familiar streets of home. Each mile they covered felt like a push into the mystery waiting just beyond the horizon. The landscape transitioned from the comfort of small-town familiarity to the sprawling unknown that lay ahead. "Look at that," Elena exclaimed, pointing out the window at a vast expanse of shimmering fields. The golden grains swayed in rhythm with the wind, creating waves of undulating beauty. Mateo caught a glimpse, feeling a fleeting sense of adventure spark inside him, tempered by the voice of doubt that whispered in the back of his mind. "Yeah, it's beautiful," he replied, hesitating. Suddenly, the mundane and routine seemed to shimmer with an unspoken promise. But that was quickly drowned by a rush of anxiety. "What's wrong?" Elena asked, turning toward him, her eyes searching. It was as if she could read all the unspoken concerns etched on his face. "Just wondering how will it be? What if we get lost?" Mateo admitted, glancing at their map, a tangled mess of routes and marks that felt oddly overwhelming. Elena smiled, her confidence shining through. "We'll find our way. This is just the beginning. Trust the journey." With her words hanging in the air, he remembered their last hours at home. The bittersweet taste of parting still lingered. Despite the laughter and promises exchanged with friends and family, he couldn't shake that familiar weight of doubt. They drove on, the scenery evolving as they crossed state lines and entered new territories. The hustle and bustle of a city loomed in the distance, skyscrapers rising like giants. He felt both excitement and fear pulse through him. Would they find a place in this sprawling urban jungle? Would they belong amidst the buzzing lives of strangers? Halfway through their first day, they stopped at a roadside diner, its neon sign flickering cheerfully. The smell of coffee and hearty meals washed over them as they entered. They took a corner booth, and for a moment, the weight of the world felt lighter. 2 coffees, 1 slice of pie, Mateo ordered, trying to match Elena's enthusiasm with a steady smile. As they waited, he studied the other diners, a melting pot of faces and stories. There was a mother with her children coloring their menu, laughter bursting like bubbles, and a couple holding hands, sharing whispered secrets. Mateo felt a tugging in his heart. These strangers were starting their own journeys, just like them. When their food arrived, lightening the spiral of tension in his chest, he met Elena's gaze. "What are you thinking?" "Just how lucky we are," she replied, her joy infectious. "This is our chance." But amid her excitement, Mateo felt a current of uncertainty swell. "Do you really think we can do this?" he asked, picking at the pie crust, feeling more anxious than before. "Of course. It's all a part of the adventure," she urged, her eyes firm with determination. "We're not just chasing dreams, we're creating them." Her optimism wrapped around him like a comforting blanket, and slowly, Mateo began to calm. At that moment, he realized their journey was not only about the places they would explore, but about the bonds they would forge along the way. After the meal, as they left the diner, the sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything in warm hues of gold and amber. Just as they climbed back into the car, Elena's phone buzzed. "It's my sister," she announced, a frown crossing her face as she read the message. With a tight voice, she said, "She's worried about us. About how we'll manage." "Hey, let us not let that get in our way," Mateo replied, smiling at her. "We've got each other." As they hit the road again, Mateo felt his fears lifting. Road signs whizzed by, and excitement started to transform his anxiety into something else, a hopeful anticipation. But deep down, part of him couldn't shake the underlying question. What would truly await them beyond the horizon? Would the challenges they faced draw them closer or drive a wedge between them as they journeyed farther from home? Only time would tell. The weeks unfolded before Mateo and Elena like pages of a book waiting to be written. The car's engine hummed with life, and the landscape around them shifted in ways that caught the eye and tugged at the heart. Each new town had its unique flavor, culture, and stories, and with every stop, they collected pieces of the world like souvenirs. As they drove past sprawling fields, majestic mountains, and vibrant city streets, hopeful anticipation filled their spirits. But with each passing mile, Mateo felt a chasm growing. Not just the physical distance from their community, but a deeper, unnameable uncertainty that crept into their conversations. Every time I close my eyes, I can still picture the center, Elena confessed late one night as they set up camp under a blanket of stars. The laughter, the colors, it feels like a part of me. Mateo nodded, sharing her longing. It's like a heartbeat, he replied thoughtfully. But shouldn't we also be developing our own rhythm? The conversations turned to their future dreams and plans, swirling into visions yet to be realized. But as excitement pulsated, his shadowy doubts sometimes darkened their moments. How could he straddle the line between their shared dreams and the longing for home? Each passing day felt like a tightrope walk, balancing the past he cherished with the future they dared to chase. One evening, they reached a bustling city alive with nightlife music layered on fateful stories, painting hope anew. The tall buildings gave him a buzz. After days filled with quiet nights, this burst of energy felt exhilarating. They wandered through the streets, laughing at street performers while the crowd swayed to the rhythm of life. In a lively cafe, Elena met a group of aspiring artists. They shared stories about their struggles, dreams, and how they had found the courage to pursue them. Mateo listened quietly, marveling at their passion but feeling frustration gnawing at him. Shouldn't we do something like that? He asked Elena the next morning as they packed up. We're here chasing dreams. Why don't we dive into the art scene? She nodded slowly, sensing his growing enthusiasm. Maybe we can organize a little showcase ourselves, bring our own stories to life through art. The idea sparked fire in Mateo's heart. Could they build something meaningful here, where strangers could connect over shared dreams? He envisioned their tapestry, creating narratives through their art that echoed the community they had left behind. But doubt settled back in when they ventured into workshops while living out of their car. The gritty struggle flared every now and then. They faced rejection and misunderstandings from people who didn't quite see them. What if we never truly fit in? Mateo whispered one night. What if this is as far as we can go? Elena gripped his hand tighter. This is only the beginning. Remember, we didn't come here just to fit in. We came to create. Her words echoed through him, meaningful and true, igniting a renewed sense of purpose. They spent late nights painting, every stroke filled with their hopes, fears, and memories of home. As they transformed blank canvases into vibrant expressions of their journey, their bond deepened. They shared their stories, finding laughter amidst struggles, heartache among the vibrant colors. As the weeks passed, they finally found their first chance to share their work in a small downtown gallery. The night of the showcase, Mateo was enveloped in nervous energy. Guests wandered through the pieces hung like stories waiting to be told. As smiles spread across the faces of the onlookers, he caught Elena's gaze, her eyes shining with encouragement. Welcome everyone, Mateo began, his voice steady despite the fluttering in his chest. We are here to share our journey. This is our art, woven together through hope and dreams born from a faraway home. With each story and every painted canvas, he couldn't help but feel a bridge forming, connecting the vibrancy of their new city with the reality of their roots back home. After the night wound down, echoes of laughter and applause hung in the air, a warmth woven from support and appreciation. Strangers embraced them with heartfelt words, their dreams intertwined in unexpected camaraderie. But amidst the thrill, a quiet realization washed over Mateo. When would they return home? And how would it feel to step back into the familiar? Would the fabric of their community have changed as much as them? Days turned into months as they flowed with the rhythm of this new life, balancing art, work, and the connection they felt. Yet each time Mateo closed his eyes at night, he felt the echo of the center and the community waiting for him, relentless yet full of love. On a clear, crisp evening beneath an infinite sky, he and Elena stood hand in hand, excitement crackling in the air. "Are we ready for this next step?" she asked, eyes shining with a mixture of dreams and fears. Mateo took a deep breath. "We still have our story both here and back home. Maybe we don't have to let one go to pursue the other." As they returned to their community after months of adventure, they felt different, wiser, filled with stories to share, and a tapestry scarred but rich. When Mateo stepped into the center, its faded walls rekindled a sense of belonging that pulled at his heart. And as the world outside continued to evolve, so did they. The dreams Mateo held, his love for the community now fused with experiences that were previously foreign, created a beautiful symphony of who he had become. And he couldn't wait to share it with the hearts waiting at home. "Ready?" Elena squeezed his hand, fear and excitement blending as they stepped into the vibrant tapestry of their lives. Ready to embrace the future, together. To the world outside, they were just two hopeful dreamers. But to their friends and family, they were homecoming heroes, woven with tales of courage and compassion, bringing back pieces of their journey to share with everyone they had left behind. The end was just the beginning, and their journey's beauty had just begun to unfold. Now it's your turn. Take a moment and subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that will inspire your own journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these empowering tales to more people who need them. And don't forget to comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. What has transformed inside you? Finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to take action because only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second to share.